Hey everybody. I want to tell everyone about a project I've been working on for the past month, I think, something like that, called UltraBridge. So this is software that's intended to uh, make it possible to unify the data ecosystems of uh, Supernote private cloud. So this is something that Rada came out with. What was it? January, I think. That was intended to be your own cloud server for your Supernote devices, right? It runs the same software that Supernote uses in the background on their cloud services so that you can host your own data and it has nothing to do with Rada, the company, or their hosting or anything like that, right? Um, so I dove into the Supernote private cloud software and discovered that there wasn't really anything at all that they were like trying to hide from us or um, you know obfuscate in terms of like API endpoints or anything else about like technical about how the Supernote private cloud service works. You can dive into the MySQL database, that MariaDB database rather, that backs the whole thing. You can dive into the API endpoints that it uses to talk with Supernote devices. There's just a lot that you can access, and it makes it very easy to reverse engineer, and it makes it very easy to figure out, oh, here are all these interesting ways I can build stuff that has touch points with the Supernote private cloud software. So that gets really exciting in a bunch of different ways that we'll talk about in a little bit. Um, and so Boox devices have always had this ability to export automatically any note or data that you take on any given device to any endpoint. So you can export stuff to WebDAV, which is how I do it, or Google Drive, or any number of other things. People have used this to connect their devices basically to things like Notebook LM, right, on the Google side, and do a lot of other interesting stuff. But what I decided to do was build something that could be a WebDAV receiving endpoint, both for Boox devices and something that could dive into the Supernote private cloud to access it to be able to marry search results between Boox devices and Supernote devices, etc. Um, Also coming will be Weewoods is how they pronounce it. It's written Viwoods. However, in doing a bunch of diving into their software, I'm pretty sure it actually is Weewoods. If you look at like the class names of their software packages, it's actually like they call things like whiskey, basically WISKY, which I think is hilarious and adorable. And there's a bunch of other things that it's like, okay, for whatever reason they transliterated this with a V, but it's actually supposed to be we. Why they didn't do WE in English, I don't know. Probably some arcane factor of their translation software. I don't know, but I want to give you guys a demo of how all of this works. I'm pretty excited about it, and yeah, let's look at all the fun stuff that this thing can do. So here we are at UltraBridge. Sorry for the increased echo. I had to change locations, as I have told you guys many times before. I am in fact not a professional, so do not have any kind of studio or other similar situation that I can kind of rely on for this kind of stuff. But I did check the audio, and I think it's going to be understandable, so we should be fine. So this is the main interface of UltraBridge. As you can see, this is kind of Spartan, similar to what we had with Rectangular File, my first attempt at building kind of a data management platform for these sorts of things. You've got just some basic tabs here. We'll go over the functions of those later. But I really wanted to dive into like what this system actually does. So why don't we start by looking at my Supernote. So this is a Supernote Nomad. I've just got a couple things created here, and we will go into creating a note. So let's do that. Okay. Okay. And we've got a little bit of dead air there. Again, not a professional. Okay. So we've got this together with my terrible handwriting. And so as everybody knows, Supernote has a really cool thing built in where you can create a task out of any text in a note. It will create that task in this case, the Supernote private cloud, which is running next to my UltraBridge installation. And it will then link back to the note, right, that is in that, or that this to-do was created from. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. And we'll make a new task. So that's going to pop up. So this is, of course, a perennial issue with Supernote. Text recognition it's not very good. Okay. I guess I could kind of see how it got an arrow out of that. I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, so we got that, right? And if we go to the Tasks app, or To-Do app, I should say, so we can get rid of all of the completed stuff. There's Remember to Buy Eggs, and you've got this little notebook next to it, right, that shows, if I tap that, it will go back to the note where I wrote that. Cool. So that's one of my favorite features about the platform. It's very easy to, create that kind of linked note. If we go back over to UltraBridge, you can see here there's no task listed, right? We created it in Supernote Private Cloud, but it hasn't come over here yet. It will do a automatic sync every 15 minutes. You can also force it to do a sync like I'm going to do right now. So it just synced, and I think I might have to refresh the page in order for it to show up. Yep. So there it is. And so now it is visible not only in UltraBridge, but UltraBridge is also presenting your tasks out as a CalDAV calendar. So that means that you can see anything that is created in UltraBridge, either from Supernote or from Boox, in a CalDAV calendar app. So if we look at my Tasks app on the Go 10.3 Gentoo Lumi, still one of the worst names that they've ever come up with for one of their best products, in my opinion. Okay, on extreme projection. So there we are, right? This is my Tasks app, and there it is up there. Remember to Buy Eggs. This is just an Android Tasks app. This is not anything special to Boox. I have the same thing running on my phone. I have the same thing running on every other Android, whatever that I've got, as well as Windows, Linux, and Mac. Anything that speaks CalDAV can now interact with these tasks, right? So if I do this and I check off Remember to Buy Eggs, oh, I can't do that. There we go. So if I check that off, right, now I can go back to UltraBridge and go look. And if I refresh the page, you know what? I bet I have to sync on the task app. Yeah, I hadn't done that yet. Okay. Okay, now it's gone, right? If I go back over to the Supernote, I'll go back here and look at to-dos, right? So this is still here, and the reason why is because UltraBridge hasn't synced yet. If I go back over to UltraBridge and I tell it sync, okay, now it's done that. And if I go back over to the Supernote, bow, away it goes. So you can probably start to see why this is useful, right? Normally, you wouldn't, without UltraBridge, you wouldn't be able to do that. There is no third-party access to to-dos in the Supernote private cloud or the Supernote regular cloud, for that matter. Which is interesting because if you go diving into the Supernote private cloud, it becomes clear that the way that they built their to-do items, um, they really are actually like RFC compliant V2Do, items. The way they use them is a little bit weird, but like they're built as though they were ready to be served out via CalDAV, which made a lot of my work easier, which is nice. But we're talking about interoperability here, right? This is why this is UltraBridge. So we've already done that from, done some to-do munging between Supernote and regular Android as far as, the server is concerned. CalDAV applications. So let's look at a couple other things. So we'll go back to Boox. Okay. And then why don't we do this? We'll go into Notes, Personal, Create. Okay. Cool. So here we are with a blank note, right? And we'll just write some stuff and we'll make it pretty simple, I guess. Let's see. So some of you might recognize the beginning of this from My Fair Lady, where this is one of the things that he has her say, right, to sort of refine her speech. The rain in Spain falls mainly on the plains. And of course, that's because yo mama so fat, dot, 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 et cetera, et cetera. So we got some text. This is not text that's going to be converted into a to-do. This is some foreshadowing here. I should point out also, I don't know, whatever. As of firmware 4.2, Onyx firmware actually has something that was really exciting to me because it meant that I wouldn't have had to write this part of the software. But they didn't end up doing what I hoped. If I go to Lasso and I do this, right? One of my options here is calendar. Okay, so that takes Buy Legos and it puts it into this, right? I'm only showing you this because it doesn't work, unfortunately. I've submitted first one bug report and secondly another bug report to Onyx about this, but this is supposed to, including the link, including all the other information you see here, either with an event or a reminder, it's supposed to sync into a CalDAV server, exactly like we do with rectangular file, with UltraBridge. But it doesn't work. The way that they do path construction in the background is broken. So this is less exciting, right? But this is the ideal experience for sure, is you would do all of this on the device, set it up in advance, right? Maybe I want to make it a reminder instead, which is just a task, right? Just a V2Do task. But there's no wiring for it. There's no wiring for the V2Do at all, and for the calendar stuff, it's broken. So very sad. But what I can do instead is I can change the color of this to red. Okay. So I did that. So now I'm going to write some more stuff. Oh, that's weird. Orange. Oh, I see. That was weird. Okay. Right. Just to demonstrate that this can distinguish between different colors of text. Okay, so we did that, and now we're going to save. And when we save, it's going to take the note and it's going to automatically export it to UltraBridge over WebDAV. It's going to do that as a .note file, so in the Boox note format, which is important later because it gives us access to a lot of metadata about notes that we wouldn't have otherwise. So there you go. Write screen record.note, upload completed. Cool. So now if we go back over to UltraBridge, we go to Files. There's my screen record, right? So this has been saved as B, as a Boox note, right? It records the fact that it was from the Lumi. It was in the personal folder. It gives you some information about the file, whatever. If I go to details, and this happened for the Supernote as well, I should note, right? Page 1, so API, the range span, this all worked. Oh, look at that. It didn't quite get hello there. That's interesting. Okay. Usually this is very good because what's happening in the background is UltraBridge is calling out to a visual learning model, a visual language model, to basically to run the text of the note past that and then return whatever it is that the model sees, right? So this is actually, generally speaking, a much more reliable way to do handwriting transcription than something like Boox or Supernote's MyScript system that's built onto the device. This is very, very high quality handwriting recognition, usually, unless you get have instead of hello there. I mean, now that I look at it, I can kind of see, again, like how they got that. Yeah, all right, fine, okay. All right, so that's what we got. Now, if I go back over to tasks, there's my buy Legos, right? So it was because of the fact that I wrote it in red ink. Anything that it sees in red, it will grab from the Boox, turn into a to-do, and then put into this, to-do list. So, and interestingly, you can see here, it knows from Boox red ink. If I click that, it will take me right back to the note and show me where it was that I wrote that down. So you can see also how that's useful, right? And now the really fun thing about this is that just for grinsies, I'm going to go ahead and hit sync now just to make sure that it's there. And this has been turned off. Let's make sure it's still running. It is not. Okay. Let's fix that. Okay. There is my buy Legos to do, which came over, synced through UltraBridge into the Supernote private cloud from my Boox device. So we've really got like a holistic system here for, sort of seamless data transfer between Supernote and Boox. I'm working on introducing VIII to this. It's going to be a minute because they don't really have the sync infrastructure built out yet that I could take advantage of. I could do it if I really wanted to be really, really hacky about it, but I kind of don't. So, but yeah. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else I haven't shown you guys yet. I mean, we can take a look at, we go into the files list here. You can see anything, that was built, that was rather created with Supernote is tagged as such. I am interested to see, actually, where this latest one, is that from today? I don't know. Where did I put it in here? Yeah, I'm not sure what I did there. Okay. Anyway, so there's a lot of capability here, right? And all this was made possible really because it became obvious that there were so many interesting things that you could do with the Supernote private cloud. And I mean, honestly, RADA is really to be hugely commended for their commitment to user privacy and user control over what is going on their devices and with their data. It's really, really impressive. I really hope that the other manufacturers follow suit because there's just a lot of power there in what they've made available to us. So I want to also do one other thing. Well, I'm going to show you guys logs aren't very interesting, right? You can just see a bunch of access requests and so on and so forth. It's not all that crazy. If I go to settings, right, this is kind of where you can configure how things are put together. Depending on which VLM you use, in my case, I'm just calling out to a VLM instance running on my server that uses my 16 gig 5060 Ti graphics card to do the transcription. But depending on which solution you use for the VLM, you might want to change these prompts sometimes. This is just what's default, right? You can change this to kind of anything you want. But this is the one for Supernote, transcribable, I haven't written text, exactly written, blah, blah, right? And we do the same thing for Boox. And then over here, of course, is the red ink to-do extraction, which we've got enabled. And then, so this is a little bit more complicated, right? Find any passages in this page written in red ink. For each red passage, return a JSON object that's online, like this. And if there's no red passages, return nothing. So you can change this if you want to, right? I could make it green ink if I wanted to. But you've got some control there. It all depends on how you kind of want to set it up. So if you look at search, so this is interesting. So you might have noticed that I have folders both on my Boox and my Supernote called personal. So actually, why don't we go back over to the Supernote real fast, and we'll create a new note in here. I keep trying to do that and forgetting that I can't. Okay. There we go. Okay. Why don't we write something that will definitely be found on this page? Like, I don't know. Sure. And yeah, I think we can just close it actually the way it is. Okay. So that's going to be called search.note, and that is in my personal folder, right? Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing over on the Lumi. Okay. I don't want to name them the same because I don't want that to be like, oh, that's how they found each other. No, it's not. Okay. Okay, so now we've created two notes inside the personal folder, right? So one of the things that's really powerful about this is that UltraBridge does not care basically where a given folder is. If you tell it to restrict it to something, it will restrict it. So I can do this. Right? And it searches cross-platform. It will show you both the one on the Supernote and the one on Boox. So this is obviously getting really powerful, right? It does not matter where you create data. This system integrates everything together and puts it together so that you can find it. So there's just a lot of useful stuff going on. And this is all clearly making me very, very happy. So yeah, the one other thing I was going to show you guys, and I don't know that this is going to work because it's been very, very inconsistent for me. I discovered while I was working on Supernote Private Cloud that under certain circumstances, like search on the device on Supernote will find text in standard notes, not real-time recognition, standard notes. Um, and the way that I found that out was by reverse engineering the Supernote note format. Basically, what I did was, because of the fact that Supernote's text recognition is not so hot, I was like, okay, well, we can fix that, right? We can basically, after doing injected text into a file, we can send it back to the Supernote, and then let the Supernote index it, and it finds it for some reason. Usually, um, this is not something that I'm gonna like, you know, advertise as a core feature of the software because it doesn't. It just really doesn't work consistently, and I don't know why. I've been trying to figure that out for a while. So here's something that contains the word recognition, right? That note's been around a while. It should have been indexed by now. And in fact, it was. I remember searching for it successfully before, right? So here's handwriting. Okay. And now if I do recognition, we'll see if it pops up. I don't know if it's gonna, because I tried this yesterday and it didn't work. Yeah, it's not popping up. So I had this working, and I don't know why it's not working now. There's some, gremlin or something running around in the Supernote, like search indexer. Um, I gotta maybe like submit a request to Rada to be like, hey, listen, guys, I'm almost there. Can you help me fix this? And we'll see if they help me. I don't know. But yeah, again, all that kind of thing is only possible because Rada has been so open about giving users access to their data. So I can't imagine they'd be super upset about it. Anyway, that's the demo. Let's switch back over. So that was the demo. So we have something now that you can run at home on top of your Supernote private cloud install. You can leave the private cloud out. If you don't have a Supernote device, if you only have Boox, that's fine. If you don't have Boox, that's fine, and you only want to use Supernote, there's configuration options in the installation script to make that work. The only thing that's required is that you have to have a server, and you have to be conversant enough with setting up a reverse proxy to be able to sort of multiplex your public IP address between several different host names. So one for Supernote, one for UltraBridge, one for your actually no, just one for Supernote and one for UltraBridge. Yeah. So yeah, this gives you unified to-do access between your devices. The other thing is that I didn't demo it here because it's not that interesting, but it presents a CalDev interface, meaning that you can have any CalDev client, be that TODO or tasks.org or any number of other things, hit that CalDev interface and get access to your tasks in full. What that means is that you can then have that list of tasks, and it will actually present the links to each one of the notes in that CalDev client, including on your Mac, on your Windows machine, or your Linux machine, whatever it is. And then be like, oh, here's my to-do. What was that about again? Oh, all I have to do is click the link, and it goes back to, it will open up the copy of the note in UltraBridge and show you what it was about. So there's just like a lot going on here. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked about the fact that building this kind of stuff is possible. And like, it's gonna be, I have a VIII Mini, which I also actually love. It's just their software is not quite up to the level of interoperability that you get yet from Boox and Supernote. Boox gives you this automatic export capability. VIII almost gives you that, except it only goes to proprietary services so far, like Google Workspace and OneDrive or whatever. It'd be awesome if VIII could give us CalDev. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. If anybody from VIII is watching, but I'm gonna build another endpoint and another set of sync adapters for VIII for when that moment comes. Because I think it's great to be able to support as many devices as possible. I would love to bring in Remarkable. I'm certain there's a way I could either re-implement RM Fake Cloud or just have RM Fake Cloud be another type of Supernote private cloud type thing for this. But the point of something like this is to be able to make it so that it doesn't matter which brand you use or which combination of brands you use, that you've always got the ability to keep it together on multiple devices in multiple contexts and make it so that the most useful features of these things, which to me are the Supernote and TODO function. The handwriting recognition and TODO functionality, and like the handwriting search, and have that be unified across all those devices. It doesn't matter which one it is. It doesn't matter how you use them. You can still get access to all your stuff on anything. Because as a person with ADHD, I don't know if you could tell, it's very valuable to me to have as many ways of doing that as possible, and to have as quick an access to the way that I pull information together as possible. So that's what this is for. I would love people to download it and try it themselves. Like I said, I will absolutely accept pull requests for interesting features and so on and so forth. Link to the GitHub repository for this will be in the description. And yeah, thanks for watching and sticking through this way too long demo. I'm really very sorry about that. It's Sunday night. I should have been doing other more fun things. I mean, this was pretty fun for me. I don't know if it was fun for you. I hope it was. But anyway, y'all take care. Much love. Take it easy. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.